Today we're doing an interview with an international artist. Her name is Renu Hossain.
Renu Hossain.
Hossain.
Oh, my artist name is Renu.
Renu, yeah, all capitals.
All capitals, very important.
She comes from England, London.
London.
Yeah. But your heritage is?
Indian.
Indian, yeah.
Yes.
Have you moved there before being born, or you were?
I was born in
little?
London.
Okay.
Yes.
So basically, you lived there for your whole life.
Yes.
Have you ever been to India or?
I go every year.
Oh, nice,
Yes,
nice.
yes.
That's good.
Yes.
Which part are you from?
My parents are from Calcutta.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
That's so cool. Okay, so you're an artist. You're a musician. You play how many instruments?
Well, on stage I play the cajon, Latin percussion tabla, and then I play other instruments for fun, you know, like guitar or some piano a little bit, but I don't play those on stage. And then so that's percussion, and then I'm producing, and more in, it's electronic, but I also arrange strings on there, so there's some organic feeling too. And then I'm composing too. Yes.
When did you get into music?
When I was really young, like a child, and then I left it for a while and then went back to it later on. Yes.
So you studied? Did you study it in university, or was it like just a passion and then you got into it?
No, I studied as a child, and then I did something completely different in university, and then kind of after university I went back into it. And got back into tabla, and then I went on to Latin percussion, and then cajon a bit much later, and actually much later, and then I started getting into writing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this kind of thing, yeah, and then producing, yeah, like this.
That's nice. So you've done quite a lot of shows, I believe.
Yes.
Do you remember the first one?
Yes, very clearly. It was somewhere in England, and it was the tail end of this movement called the Asian Underground. But I was never really part of it, and I didn't really understand what it was. I was just in that movement, tail end of it by default, and it was with this band. I won't say the name, but what happened? I couldn't really play. I was a very bad musician because I was just going back into music, but they let me in the band. And what happened was, as the music was all playing and everybody was doing their thing, I had this really amazing feeling of being on stage. And then I was like, oh, this is really amazing feeling. I feel this is what I should do.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Amazing.
Yes.
Was it? I mean, I guess you started when you were already independent. Then, from your family.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. What does your family think about like your career?
Well, I think they were worried, like most people are
Yeah.
worried if you're going into something that it's not heavily supported.
Yeah.
Because it's not like I went into classical music, because classical music's very heavily supported and kind of respected. But if you do something that's a bit off the normal classical or well-trodden path, then it can be it's risky, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I suppose like any parent, if your child
So
is
they were more worried about the genre than the fact that you wanted to be like a musician. Because I think that's really interesting.
I can't be into classical music because I'm not a Western classical musician anyway, so that's irrelevant. And also, because I'm from the UK, if I went into Indian classical, I would still probably have to have another job with that job with
of course.
playing Indian classical. So it wasn't really relevant to me. What I'm saying is, like in the UK, Western classical music is heavily supported and subsidised. So were they worried? Yeah, they're worried, but you know, it's okay. They're all right
Like
now.
parents always do, I guess.
But now I've been doing it long enough, so they're like,
Yeah.
it's what I do, so it's fine.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
How is life over there, like for a musician
Where?
in London?
I don't
You're
know.
based in London.
No, because
like,
I've not been based in London in years. I was
okay.
I've
Well,
been
at the
based
start
in
you were,
Berlin.
right?
Berlin.
Okay, but
Been
at the
based-
start you were in London. Yes.
Yes, in the start I was in London, but again I was just finding my way because I was kind of creating my own path and musical kind of thumbprint. You know, it wasn't something like, oh, this is Indian classical, or this is Western classical, or this is flamenco.
You wanted to
I was
find
just
your-
working out
yeah.
what I wanted to do, so this was a lot of investigations and just working out what I wanted to do. But in London, it was fun because I was playing a lot with lots of different kinds of bands just to get the practice, because there's many different people from all over the world who were established. They're not even new migration, they're all old migration. So they're English or they're very much London, but they're from a migration background. So what was fun is I got to play with lots of different genres, and this helped my playing to be able to transpose my instrument onto other musical genres. But the problem with London is that it's so expensive and it's really hard work. You can have burnouts really very frequently because you're just trying to always catch up. And then also because it's now a place of now it's so high, but it's so capitalist. What I saw was this change in how musicians have to earn their money. So they can earn a lot of money from doing concerts, but they're almost like the concert is catered towards the audience taste. So the audience, because they're more richer now, they want to be entertained. So they want to hear cover bands. They want to hear things that is not too, you don't have to think about too much, right? So this is not easy. This is not a really positive path if you want to be a solo artist. So I didn't want to just be a percussionist in somebody's cover band. I did it once and I was like, that's the last time I do that. I got paid a lot of money, but I was like, this is not what I wanted to do. This is not why I went into music, because this is now part of a system that I'm not really don't enjoy.
Yeah, of course.
So, and then I always had it in my mind that I would go and have an experience in Berlin. It wasn't too far, and I thought, let's just see, right?
It's a nice place too.
Yes. And it's interesting, and what was great about Berlin is that they really made a conscious effort within the arts to make much more space for women and a much more space for queer people. So this was perfect for me. So when I went there, it took time, but there was a lot of opportunities were opened up for me. And also I had so much time to develop my work that I had no time in London before.
Yeah.
I had so much time to develop my solo work and finish things off and work with electronics, see what their musical aesthetic is. So I enjoyed it, but there is a but. What I enjoy, for example, in Granada, and what I enjoy, for example, in India, because I go frequently, is there's something very deep and there's something very deep about the musical culture here, which is very good for the soul, because for me, flamenco is classical. It's like Spanish classical music. They won't call it classical music, but it is, because if you look at it is, because if you look at the mathematics involved, and it definitely is classical music for me, because there's a lot of maths involved, and Indian classical music too. There's also, it's just not a genre of music. There's a whole culture that's imbibed with the music. It's a culture.
Yeah,
so
that's also why I moved here. I feel that here art is more like rooted in
Yeah.
in just people,
Yeah.
in everybody.
Yeah, everybody's like really good at singing and playing guitar and just fun.
Yeah. Yes.
And there's a real passion and you get that in India too. This is why I go to India a lot too. And for me in Berlin, it's basically a place to experiment, and it's got a fantastic experimental scene. And London, UK, you know, even though they have more people of color at the top of the system, they actually don't really have many women at the top. And because I've lived in many different places, I think that UK is very, it's really behind and it's very misogynist. But it would not recognize if it was misogynist.
Yeah.
But I know that it is, because when I go back, because I'm between Berlin and London, I'm like, oh, look, the women are in caretaking situations. They may be higher up in the artistic institutions, but they're always in caretaking roles, these matriarchal roles. And then the guy is like, the dancer or the musician is the one that's the genius, and the one that's, even if he's of color, he will be represented in this manner. And I was like, no, you have a problem, UK. You're misogynist. Also, they're very colonialist.
Oh, yeah.
Because their artistic output is always...
Well, they colonize the old world, so...
Of course. No, but Germany also colonized many countries too. But what I like about it, UK is still like a lot of the output, if you're a person that's not indigenous English or has a migration background, you always have to do some project. The funding is always linked to some identity thing, which I just feel like, okay, I get that, but do we have to be so obvious about my identity?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe I don't
it's
want
like
to put...
You've lived there basically your whole life.
Yeah.
So like you're from London at the end.
Yes, and also
your parents
maybe
are not from there,
yeah.
but you know you've lived there your whole life. So
Exactly.
you know nothing about the Indian side.
No, I do know a lot. I'm
course,
bicultural, but it's not something I want to do in this it's very lazy.
Yeah.
It's very lazy way
totally
to investigate your identity and your culture, because it's lazy and it's a little bit cheap.
I do believe so.
And I think that you can investigate Indian musical theory and put that, for example, the maths of like percussion, Indian percussion, and put those in your compositions. And you don't always have to do this like, it's so, what's it called, cliched.
Yeah.
Like, oh, my motherland. It's like, no. Maybe this is my motherland, you know? I really like it here. It's like a less noisy version of India.
Yeah.
So,
really?
Yeah, it's great here, but it's a less noisy version of India.
Nice.
I mean, everybody has their own way, but this is my personal perspective,
Yeah.
and that's why I find it problematic in the UK.
I think it's a good perspective.
And I would like them to know that more, because I would like them to change their system a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So why did you come here in Granada then?
Why? Because I love it here.
Have you been like in vacation or something, or?
I've been here like 4 times now, and
More than me.
yeah, sorry. So first time I just came because I think I was somewhere else in Spain, and then I visited 2 friends. They're still here. Then I came again, and then this time now I'm really putting myself in the musical culture and learning how to accompany flamenco with the cajon, like properly. I have a very good teacher, Manuel Torres, is his nickname? I hope so, his name is Torres. Anyways, Manuel.
Es el nombre.
He's a fantastic teacher and so humble. He's amazing, fantastic teacher. He really knows his...
You started like in the Sacromonte or
No, aquí in
Albacete?
sí, in Albacete. Yeah. It's that shop where they sell the jewelry. It's on the corner, and in the back is a flamenco. He teaches cajon. Yeah. I've forgotten the name. Sorry. Yeah.
I'll search it later.
Yeah. But he plays with all the main people here, like all the good gigs he does. Yeah.
You found like something special about the city?
It's just wonderful. It's so stunning. It's so beautiful, and I just really. This is why I find it similar to India, because it's hundreds of years of mixing that's happened here, and this is really why it has this special energy. When you have these cross points of culture, geographically migration through trade, and then through music and art, you cannot but then have this amazing new culture that's developed, but now is an old culture, right?
Yeah.
But this is why the culture is so fantastic and the music is so fantastic, because of that. You know, you cannot produce something of such great beauty without mixing.
Yeah.
So I'm all up for migration.
Yeah, actually flamenco originated from, ¿cómo se llama? La cultura, from, I don't know how to call it in English. La cultura gitana.
Yes. Roma.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was like the same concept or...
Yeah, Roma is the more politically correct way to address that community.
So yeah, we had the Arabics and the Roma people. And,
yeah, Arabic, Jewish, even like old Christian medieval music, and then the Roma community, migrating from
Celts,
India.
The Romans from ancient Rome. A lot of beautiful cultures
Yeah.
over here.
but from the inception of flamenco, I mean.
Yeah.
So I think that's about 500 odd years old. And the migration of the Roma community from India. So you have that interesting musical migration mapping in the music. Then combine that with all the other cultures, and then Roma people from certain different parts migrating along as well.
Yes, super interesting.
It's fantastic, and you have a similar thing in India. Yeah, not with the Roma community as such, but this is why this music is so rich, because you had a very not similar, but a process that had some similar things.
Yeah.
Some similar traits to this.
Works like that with languages as well.
Yes,
So, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's to do with languages too. Right, yeah.
Do you have a plan here in Granada?
Do I have a plan?
Did you go like with a plan, or are you just kind of...
No, actually I was very ill. I came here to get better.
Oh.
And I did get better. I was so ill. And I came here and I was still ill in the beginning. And then it quickly dissipated, my illness. So I guess I need to rest.
It's the Spanish beer.
Probably. And the tapas. No, I just feel really happy here because the people are so nice. And I think the only time I had a problem with somebody was, and they were not from Granada, they were from, I think, a big city up north. No, I just feel very comfortable at home here, so this is why I can feel very relaxed.
And you came here about a month ago? 2 months?
End of August I came here.
Yeah, okay, a month ago. And you're staying until the...
11th of October.
Yeah. It's in a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
You should stay more.
Well, I have some concerts. I'll be back, don't worry. I'll be back when the sun comes back.
Wow.
Well, there's always sun here, so...
Well, no, winter is cold. Winter is
but
cold.
not that cold. It's not like...
No, in the nighttime it's cold. No heating. It's all good. It's all good.
So, how many years have you worked in music?
25 years now. No, 24.
Nice. Amazing.
Well, I mean, I would say the first 10 years were me just
Understanding
like
what,
swimming in the,
Yeah.
not really working, because
Yeah,
I was learning on the job
Yeah,
too.
of course.
I would say for the last, actually only the last 12 years is really, I put my stamp down, right? Before that, I was kind of just working out. I was learning on the job.
And going back to your family, were there people in your family who were doing like music stuff and who are?
Culturally, in Bengal, they encourage their kids to always learn music anyway. It's something you have to do. It's not something you have to go into professionally, but something you have to take up. So as kids, we had to learn Bengali singing, and certain poets, we had to sing their songs. And my sisters, they were encouraged to do Kathak dancing, which is one form of classical dance. And then I chose tabla, so that's what I did. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So yeah.
For the musicians, so you've lived in London, in Berlin, now a little bit in Granada, somewhere else.
That's
as
cool.
well?
Yeah, if you want to say it like that, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Somewhere else, or
Well, I go to India a lot,
yeah, okay.
and
Well,
yeah.
I guess it goes back a little bit to what you said about the music. But which country do you believe is better for a musician to live in? I guess it
Well,
depends.
for music and your soul, I would say like Andalusia and India's amazing. But to make money, Berlin and London,
Yeah.
right? But it's okay. If you make enough, you can always come back
Yeah.
and stay like I did here
Yeah.
for as long as I want to, because I don't have another job to go back to where
Yeah.
they're saying you need to come back.
Yeah.
So
Except for the concert.
yeah, but this is okay. It's good. It's two
Yeah,
good
yeah, yeah.
concerts.
What do you believe is the situation of art in Spain? And like, is it good or bad? Do you think?
Well, I cannot speak fairly because I did not live in Spain, and I don't want to say something that's not true. But what I can see is I don't think the Spanish government support their artists enough, and I have a feeling, and anyone is allowed to correct me, I don't think they probably have a good funding system for musicians. And they need to be funded, because actually your country, or you can gain so much wealth by pushing the arts and culture, actually, not trying to push systems that don't sustain, because the arts and culture doesn't destroy anything, doesn't destroy the environment, doesn't destroy anything. And actually, it's such a strong, beautiful culture, music culture, that I think if the government put more money in, people would just come from abroad, like they do in India. So many students from around the world just go to India and stay with a guru, or go to a school. And India is poor. Like, Spain is not poor compared to India. India has really major post-colonial problems, and it's a massive area of land, right? But still, they get local government support, and they get government support, and the way that the musicians are treated is much better, I think, supported, like the classical scene. I mean, yeah, you get a lot of street musicians, but they're more like, and they're super talented too, this is why it reminds me of Spain, but they're more like minstrels, traveling minstrels, because you still have this feeling in India that some parts are in a different time, right? Because like Northern Europe really only exists in one time zone. Like, it's 21st century, it's very capitalist. Everyone wears the similar clothes from similar outlets like H&M and Zara, all these places. So everyone looks the same. Everyone is doing the same thing. Everyone, you know what I mean? And the like, if you go to Eastern Europe, you can see some of old Europe, right? So that certain parts of Eastern Europe are existing in a different time zone.
Yeah, I understand.
Right? So this is like Andalusia too. It's a little bit a different time zone. It's not quite 21st century when you have to only look at that, you know.
Yeah.
And that's why I like it here. I think. What was the question? Shit, I just I lost the question.
Which
I went off
was,
a tangent.
no,
It's great.
if
Something
situation
interesting
in
in
Spain
Sa-
is better or worse than
Ah,
abroad. Yeah.
I just think they could just give more money to artists. And
Yeah, running for president.
ready for president, right? Yeah, because the musicians and the artists here are so fantastic. There's such a high level. It's really impressive, and they just support them, please, because you're doing it injustice to yourself, and also you're missing a good business opportunity. Because if you look at cultures past and present, whenever they put money into artists, the place just
Oh yeah.
blossoms.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like even like in the time of this time where the Alhambra, I'm sure they had a lot of court musicians, right?
Oh, yeah.
That just got paid to be court musicians. But then that's the time when the music really grew, because they had time to experiment and develop.
Yeah.
Because that's what you can't be always thinking about money, or you need time to develop something and push it into another space or place,
Yeah.
right? And like, let it evolve, let it breathe. So at the moment, Berlin is trying to push Berlin as the music capital of Europe. So they're putting loads of money into it. This is why many musicians have moved there. And sadly, this has moved away from London. But, you know, every place has their renaissance. So, yeah, 500 years ago, this was the renaissance. But, like, every place has its time.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
So between like doing music, producing, and writing, which one do you like best?
It's interesting. I'm realizing I really love being indoors. I don't like to perform too much anymore. Unless it's my own solo show and I get some good money. Then I'm really happy to do it, because there's the visuals, and I have my sound engineer and my visual artist, and then me performing on my own, so I'm not dealing with any band. It's like my little nerdy crew, you know. They're just my nerds, so I love them. The visual artist is from China, actually. Her name is Yue Wang, and my sound engineer is French, but I know Yue from London, and she now lives in Berlin, and Baptiste I met in Berlin. Yeah. So yes, I love producing or just my solo show, and I actually, going from that concert last Friday, right?
Yeah.
It was like a little reminder of why I don't do those concerts anymore, because, sorry, I know there's men here, but I do not like working with guys who are too machismo. I really like to work with gentlemen, right? It's not about male or female. It's not about gender, actually, but it really, if I'm gonna work with a guy, they have to be really like nice.
Down to earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just down to nice, earth, and supportive. Like, we're here to support each other, not to compete with each other, right?
Yeah.
So, and this is why I enjoy my solo shows. Yeah.
Is there a moment in your life that you feel is really important for you, for your career and all of that?
Right now.
Here.
Right now.
Granada?
Yeah.
Being here.
No, I don't think being here, I mean, this being here is important, but I kind of prophesize this moment. I don't know if that's the right word. This moment in my life would be a very important crossroads for me. So this moment is so important because now used to just work to get the money, right? To just pay for stuff, pay the bills, pay the rent. So now I'm in this fortunate situation where I'm not so desperate, and now I'm thinking, because it's still a process of how to mix. No, not how to mix, but just to investigate, like science, maths, philosophy, not religion per se, but how divinity or divine is something that's spoken about very clearly in music, and so I'm trying to see how I embrace that in my life, right?
And you have time to do that now.
I have time. I'm making time.
Yeah.
I'm making time to do that because I've been waiting for this time for such a long time.
Yeah.
And now is the time for me to really. Well, it's the time. It's not that I didn't want to do it before. It's now I have that access to do that now.
Yeah.
I can do that now. I couldn't do that before. I had too many factors that were not allowing me to do that. So now is the time to do that, right?
Yeah. Well, I hope you succeed.
Well, it's a
really
journey.
Yeah.
It's a journey. It's not that something you learn in 3 years. It's what's beautiful about it. It's a long journey. That's why I'm so excited about it. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for the interview and
for
everything that you said. You opened our mind.
Fabulous. Thank you for
Thank you so
inviting
much.
me. Thank you.